science and evidence-based, and in the 1% of success in a very man's world. Then, when Catherine was 12, she had come to a fork in the road of her life. In the 1960s, her father had left the family for another woman, leaving her mother to raise two kids in a really tough situation with not enough money. And also her mother was just stricken by this betrayal that came out of the blue. So at that moment, Catherine made a decision, much like, to my mind, Scarlett in Gone with the Wind. She said, I will never be hungry again. Never. Before this happened, she'd been a child, a sweet kid. She was enjoying her childhood. She was just playing and naive and kind of young for a 12-year-old. But now she was determined. Buckle down, get straight A's, or if possible, A pluses in everything. And she did. She pushed and she prodded herself to study, to write, to learn, to excel. And she achieved all of this. Her sister took another path, like sisters often do. Drugs, boys, sex, going out the window late at night, coming home in the early morning, making their mother's hair even grayer. Now, Catherine learned to succeed with this level of discipline and drive. And with this as her war cry, she made it. She made it through college, graduate school, being a woman in a man's business world, and she stood out, willowy yet strong, in a really masculine business. Compete, don't share, cutthroat, drive yourself, take work home every single day, weekends included, no life, no life, no life. This style, her style, it took her far at work. And then in her 40s, her body began to scream. And when she got these weird diseases that nobody could figure out for a really long time, and she felt exhaustion and fatigue, and she was lying in bed more than she was standing up. It ravaged her body. Now, her lover, finally, she found a really sweet guy, a big bear of a man, who she was able to allow to come a little bit close to her. And he looked at her with worship in his eyes, in a beautiful way, not too much. And it was someone that she had finally let close. But she still kept him away too. There was no time, I gotta work, I can't go with you anywhere on a weekend. Live together? Are you kidding? I couldn't handle it. And yet, she also felt really drawn to him for his sweetness and his caring. And in the back of her mind, her mother with her hair straggly and her face drawn and husband gone and bills on the table, that face kept haunting her. So how she learned to be as a girl, it took her very far in life, you can see, until then it stopped her in her tracks. Because driven was the only way she knew how to be, and it gave her success, lots of success. And it was literally eating her cells away. She had to make a change. Now, she was a woman in the sciences, in a business dominated by especially aggressive and very competitive men. She was so extremely smart, and so were they. And she put all of herself into competing the way the boys did, cutting off her feminine self because there was no room for that. From the very first time she experienced the process that I did with her, she deeply contacted a part of herself that was curious, creative, feminine, flowing, sensuous, and confident. So there are two stories here. One, she had lost her curiosity, which was vital to the contributions that she needed to make in her particular field. You couldn't get anywhere without being curious, not anywhere real. Instead, she shaped herself into the way the men were, which made her feel like she couldn't breathe. But nothing else made sense in this world. Yet, in her deeper mind, and as we worked, she actually saw herself walking through a building, touching the walls, curiously stopping and caressing the shape of a vase, luxuriating in the silk curtains billowing, stopping in awe with this gilded mirror, ornate mirror, and this beautiful painted niche that she saw. She was all sense and all sensuous and all curious. She loved this feeling. She loved this feeling. It came straight from her soul. And suddenly she remembered being this way all the time as a child, until the crisis of her father leaving the family left the family with no money, and the mother shouldering the family's financial burden, which was way too heavy for her. And by the way, hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me. The second thing, in addition to the curiosity which she lost and then found, and which was vital to her business, to being successful in her business, was I love this part of the story. There was an opportunity for a sales pitch, a gigantic sales pitch, that several other men in her company had already tried and failed at. So it was a multi-million dollar contract. And the guys had all pitched it the way that you're supposed to. And she started out that way. She crafted the entire pitch, the slide deck and everything. And then, this was a while back, and then she started really contacting that part of herself, that sensuous, confident part of herself, the feminine part of herself that she had been pushing down. And she created a different presentation that actually engaged the people listening, the company they wanted to land. And she did the whole talk from her sensuous, sensual, curious, creative, confident self. Not the pantsuit corporate self that she thought she needed to be, but really hated. So for the very first time, the audience, mostly male audience, asked questions. They stayed longer. They wanted to know more. And she landed the contract, the multi-million dollar contract. And not only did she land the contract, but she mesmerized them and she engaged them. And she felt fantastic about the way she did it. It was so much fun for her. Now, I'm not saying at all that she was seducing them with sexuality. What I'm showing you is how she engaged all of herself in ways which logically you wouldn't think would be good in this world. And how, because she was able to do that, it gave her joy and pleasure and the multi-million dollar contract.